Welcome to Take It from the Ironwoman. My name is Susanne Müller, your host and the Ironwoman. This podcast is about empowering yourself and others to make real changes in the world. You will hear from everyday, smart, sophisticated, hip people like you and me. Not everybody has to be an Ironwoman to impress the world. Together, we will learn from the sports and business leaders how you can become a more successful person as an entrepreneur or a leader. It's one step at a time, one day at a time. Take your steps now. Take your big steps now. Join me on this journey to success. Take it from the Ironwoman. We only have special guests, and today a real honor, a trailblazer, I would say, Donna. If you Google Donna, at least what I did, the first line that comes up on her media company is she's the most interesting person. And I would add, she's the most impressive person. We want to hear from you. So it says BeVisible.club, the real 50 over 50. Who is Donna who's joining us here?
Well, now the pressure is on.
Yeah.
It all started in Brooklyn, in Sheepshead Bay, a little fishing village in Brooklyn. That's where I was born and raised. I'm a real born and bred New Yorker, not trendy, didn't come from Idaho to New York. I am like really born in New York.
The real deal.
Real deal.
Yeah.
And I started working in law firms when I was 19 years old. And I worked in law firms for 25 years. I was a single mom. As my son was getting ready to go to school, I realized that I'd never see him. I had to find something else to do because this great job that I had, and it was a great job, it was just not a long-term option with a small human in the mix and a commute. I found a virtual assistant in Florida. This was around 2005. And nobody knew what a virtual assistant was or what they did. I just printed out her picture, and I had one in my little cubby at work and one in my home. I just kept looking at her and going, oh, if she could do it, I could do it, because the alternative was to find a job closer to home, which was going to be significantly less pay and highly likely that I wasn't going to like it. And I still was not going to be accessible to my son. I just wasn't going to be a train ride away. I decided I was going to take a year and build a business and drive both trains at the same time. That lasted 2 weeks. I was eating ice cream for dinner at 9:00 at night. I said to the guy behind the counter, I'm going to go quit my job tomorrow. And he said, I don't care. And I did. I went and I quit my job the next day, and I started this virtual assistance business. They kept me on as a consultant for a while, and they paid me a obscene amount of money because they wanted me to stay. I started my business, and nobody knew what a virtual assistant was. I just did whatever I had to do. I'd meet people. They were like, oh, that's nice. Can you clean my wife's closet? Can you organize a bat mitzvah? Can you put footers on documents? Can you pick up my son from daycare? I was like, whatever, you're going to pay me. I'll do whatever you need to do. Then what happened was I met this woman who was a hand model, and she had a line of anti-aging hand care products. She was paying a PR firm $5,000 a month to get her into all the big beauty magazines, beauty awards, and they did. But this was the very early days of social media, and they had no idea how it worked. They were trying to get me to show them how to use social media, but I was not getting paid $5,000 a month. I flipped that story, and I said to her, well, they've kind of taken you as far as they could take you because they don't know what to do with all this great media they got. Why don't you just fire them, pay me more, and we'll take all of this media and turn it into other things. That's where it all started. I started to put together social media PR and content development and listening online, listening on social media, figuring out where the people were, figuring out, at the time, it wasn't even podcasts. This was like around 2009.
What was it called then? I'm wondering now.
Well, it was blogs. There were these like really small beauty blogs.
Yeah.
And we did great with these really small beauty blogs because they had dedicated followings. Anytime they would write about her, or they would we had these two women that were, I forget if they were friends or sisters, but they were in the Midwest somewhere, and they were school teachers, and they loved beauty products. Then when they had time off from work, they would go to all of these beauty events, and they loved her products. They would take them with them to these events that they'd go to. And all of a sudden we'd start hearing the ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Oh, wow. And it took us a while to figure out what they were doing. She had a 4-page spread in More magazine and got nothing. These two women would go to an event. We'd sell $2,000 worth of hand cream.
It was like the Avon lady in real time.
But it was $75 hand cream in 2009. Nobody had $75 hand cream then. We ended up selling over $100,000 worth of hand cream in 8 months with no budget. She was acquired by a bigger company. She was on HSN 12 times, sold out a couple of times. And that all happened because I said, let's do something else. And I saw this happen with another client and another client. And after the third one, I said, I have something here and it's worth a hell of a lot more than what I'm charging. So I fired all my clients. I renamed my business and I was terrified doing that. I went to an event. And I said, I'm going to go to this event and I'm going to make $20,000. And I did. I went to that event and I had $5,000 packages and I sold 4 $5,000 packages and my new business started.
Okay. I need to know how that works. And I'm sure all the listeners are like, okay, Donna, you have the secret. You have the secret sauce.
It wasn't a secret. It was just, you know what? I just kind of took inventory of everything that I was doing and what was happening. Like that happens with her. I had another client who got written up in the New York Times. This was like around the same time frame, 2009, 2010. He was part of when Michelle Obama, when she had that whole holistic food thing going on. The garden. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He was one of 9 chefs he was a sustainable food consultant and he was one of 9 chefs in the entire country that was selected to be part of this program called Chefs Move to Schools, where a school kind of adopts a local chef that teaches them how to create a garden, how to put together a composting program, how to use the food that they get from the government in accordance with connecting with local farms or local purveyors to kind of beef up what they're getting from the government. You're having these nasty chicken nuggets, but you can have some lettuce with that. And then he was also invited to be the executive chef behind the scenes for Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution. He ended up doing a segment of the schools in this one town in West Virginia for the show. And then the school district hired him to come and do I think it was 38 more schools. When I'm seeing all of this happening, and I know it was from what I'm doing because my clients did absolutely nothing online. I was doing everything. And I just realized what I had was worth something. Just like when I quit my job, it was time to take a chance on me. I had clients lined up to build them websites. I hate building websites. I really hate building websites. I just don't want to do this. And I recently did it again 2 years ago. I stopped my business. I said no to clients and I redesigned my business to be what I wanted it to be because I realized over time it had grown into something that I didn't want based on what clients needed. I was at a point where I was kind of pausing. I had, old clients offboarding and new clients ready to onboard. And I realized if I didn't do this right now, I would spend the rest of my life in a business that I wasn't happy with. I just stopped and I redesigned it. And AI came in and messed everything up. It took longer than expected, but it did. It took me 2 years to rebuild it. And that's what BeVisible is. BeVisible is a culmination of 40 years of work.
When I'm listening to you, it feels like, and they say you need to reinvent yourself. And initially it was every 15 years. And then times became faster. Then they say 7, then it's 3.5, probably every 2 years or whatever you're doing. What do you think?
No, that was over an 18-year period. But I don't ever stop. I think we have to reinvent ourselves every single day. It doesn't need to be a big, giant, get out the heavy artillery reinvention, but learning something new every day, being curious every day. So things don't ever get stale if you're always curious because there's always something new.
Do what you love what you do. If you don't do what you love, I hear you say you don't like to do websites, outsource it, right? If you have something, why should we focus on something that we don't like? It almost seems like you putting out your good energy to where it needs to be rather than grinding your teeth and putting together those websites.
What happened when I went through this whole process was I took myself through what I take clients through. And I really got to see what it was. And it's so much more than what I was calling it. I was calling it a content audit. It was not a content audit. There was some content involved,
You need
but
to
it was,
package it better.
oh, I did. It's called tried and new now. Take what's tried and true and what's new and mix it together. Yeah, it's a totally different experience. And it's about taking all of those parts of our stories. I'm 60 now. I've been around a while. I've done a lot of things. What I realized as I took myself through this process, how many times I did something I didn't want to do because somebody else needed it, or I just shut up, or I just put something down, or I gave somebody else my power. And by going through this process, I recognized all of these points in my life or my business or my work that I did that. And I reclaimed them. I remembered them. I took them back and I made them part of my story now.
Powerful. And good for you. Sometimes as women, we know we do things, we're like, let's do it, but we're not with our heart in it.
No, well, we're not doing it for us. We will do it.
We
We
just
have to
do
do it for somebody else.
Exactly.
If it's for somebody else. Mm-hmm. But if it's for us, we start to look like, well, who needs something? Because I can't be doing this just for me. Mm-hmm. I got over that.
Wow, congratulations.
And in the middle of all of that, this real 50 over 50 just was a surprise. I was listening to Mika Brzezinski talk about the Forbes 30 over 50 conference that's in Abu Dhabi. I was just getting angry because it's people that are well known, established household names. They don't need the visibility. I started to think of all the women that I know. I started to think of myself. And I said, okay, I'm going to make a list of all the women that I know over the age of 50 who are doing incredible work and not enough people know about them. So it took me 15 minutes and I had my list. And then I did keyword research and everything was about hair and makeup and how to date, what not to do, what not to wear. Your body's falling apart. Life is going to be awful. Shut up and sit down. Well, that doesn't feel good. If I was in conversation with any of these 50 women that I know, we'd be talking about other stuff. Then I bought the domain, The Real 50 Over 50 for $1.
Say it many more times. It's The Real 50 Over 50.
Okay. I bought the Real 50 Over 50 domain for $1. That really triggered me. I should have had to fight for that, pay for that, or at least have a good negotiation. I should have been able to buy that for $1. Then I put all these pieces together and I get a little tap on the shoulder and like some little voice says to me, well, you've got the information. You've got the skills to do something about it. What are you going to do? I started to reach out to my friends. And I said, if I started to just interview people, would you want to be interviewed? Within 2 weeks, I had 40 interviews booked. So far, we've done 73 interviews, weekly live interviews, 10 panels, and we have interviews booked all the way into April 2025.
I know I'm on the panel for February 2025. You're the first date that I put into my calendar for 2025. I thought that was pretty amazing. It was in May. See how powerful that the Real 50 Over 50 is.
They're real women. These are real women doing real work. Most of them are women that have had successful corporate or some kind of career, professional career, and they reached a point in their life where they just didn't want to do it anymore, just exactly where I was. It was like, this is no longer working and I can choose. And it's really powerful when you get a group of people like this together that are living the life that they choose to live.
And I like what you say, when you see those 30 under 30, 40 under 40, okay, what about us? You do great work. I'm just putting out my book about lipstick leadership. And it's not so much about beauty, but it's about showing up and being who you are, empowering, inspiring others. It's not that we need to be on TV every single day. These are the everyday women who do great work and inspiring work who need to be recognized.
Yes, absolutely. And what really got me going with the whole thing was when I did the keyword research, I realized that I'm using the same tools that companies use to market to this vertical. They are so off the mark. So it's not just marketing, but this is where people get information about research for investing, about healthcare, all of these different things that impact our lives, and they are totally off the mark.
What can we change now? obviously you have this beautiful website, the Real 50 Over 50. You have weekly interviews and talks. But if listeners are interested to become one of the Real 50 Over 50, can they reach out to you, or how do you find your good people?
Well, at first it was all my friends and my colleagues, my clients. It was people that I personally knew. And other than one or two people that just found me online, everybody else is somebody that I was introduced to. So it's really tight knit and there's a lot of crossover there. And my whole idea when this came about was what's possible when we come together and do things together, because we're all doing our own little thing in our own little silo because we've got too much to do. What's possible when we join forces? So one of the things that I'm doing in October, I'm going to have a panel on communities, and it's going to be several women in this group of people on the panel that have communities of women over 50. There's lots of crossover between these different communities. And I really have tried to not be very firm in what I'm creating because I just want to see what happens. It's almost like an experiment. And amazing things have happened. And it's not big, splashy, amazing things, but it's the kind of stuff that's like an undercurrent. Stuff happens. Like a woman reached out to me the other day by email. She was looking for a small business attorney and she couldn't find one from searching around that she felt understood what her needs were. And somehow my website popped up because I'm now on the second page of Google right under Forbes for 50 over 50. So I'm starting to really trend. And she just reached out to me and sent me an email because she saw one of the women. She said, "Oh my God, this is exactly who I'm looking for. How do I get in touch with her?" I connected them and I don't even know what happened, but I was so happy because that's exactly what I want to happen. I'll be interviewing somebody, and as I'm interviewing somebody or speaking to somebody, "Oh, you need to know this person. You need to know this person." I spoke to somebody today and I had 2 people to connect her to from my community. So it's just happening like that, very organically. And things are happening. People are doing things together. People are hiring each other. They're hiring me for my services. It's just all really nice. It doesn't feel pushy or salesy, or it's not one of these communities where you have to pay $10 a month to be part of. It's just organic.
It's just fantastic. And what is your vision for the future?
I really want to create a space where people can share their content. They can share their knowledge. I don't want it to be full of rules. I just want it to be a really comfortable place to come. And I don't want it to be like, have to do this 3 times or this. I don't want it to be like that. I just want it to be an organic place where you can come and connect with other people, do different kinds of things. So I'm exploring a couple of different options, and I'm going to start like turning on the PR machine. I know how to do that.
Yeah, you're the pro. We say it's the Real 50 Over 50, but if there is somebody that you would like to have almost like a celebrity endorsement, who would that be?
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Okay, let's get there.
Because her podcast, Wiser Than Me, came out a month after I started this. And it's very, very similar. The format is very similar. My guests are better.
Your guests are better, wiser, and maybe multifaceted, and we don't know anything about that person. That creates that more colorful conversation. And also when you say you're connecting, so you meet a person and you're connecting them to 2 other people. That's where the connection is. Because if she interviews Jane Fonda, she doesn't need an introduction to anybody.
No. I help people become visible. That's what my business is. It's very intentional and it's not big. You don't need to be on TV. I always think back to my grounding vision is my hand model. She had big, she had splashy. It did absolutely nothing for her. What mattered was really good customer service, a really good product, and that I was like on the ground with the people that really wanted her product. And it was small. It was those 2 sisters in the Midwest that were pumping out her $75 hand cream at beauty events all over the country.
You need to have more those real people who vouch for your services or for your product rather than being on the TV, on the QVC.
It feels attainable. Just back to the hand cream. If you see some celebrity with her skin and plastic surgery and all of this stuff going on, it doesn't feel attainable. But if you see a regular woman who's using this hand cream and having a difference, it's just like, well, maybe that could work for me too. It feels there's a kinship there almost. I go into these interviews. I don't do a lot of preparation. I know a lot of the women because this all started with my friends, but we just have conversations, and the conversation can go in any direction, or their lives, so somebody can chime in on a comment and then we take an entirely different direction. That's what's good. After the interviews, when I see people like connecting in the chat and connecting on the comments, or like I'll get an email from somebody that they had a 7-hour car ride and they binged all of the interviews. I'm so happy. And it's not just for women over 50. It's for anybody. There's a level of wisdom that we're bringing together. You just have to be around a while to have. It doesn't come without the hard knocks. Sharing that with people that are younger than us, that are gendered differently, and there's no downside to it.
And do you have any books that you would recommend people who are interested in others?
I am so surrounded by books. Okay, so one of my favorite books is Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert.
That's fun. I've read it multiple times.
And then another one that I just listened to for the third time, and every time it hits differently, is Cassandra Speaks by Elizabeth Lesser.
Okay.
And I know I'm going to get the subtitle wrong, but it's something like what happens to the world when people listen to women, or something like that. But I listened to that for the first time maybe a month before this whole 50 over 50 thing happened. And I am sure that there was some influence there. But I just listened to it again, and I had this whole like scenario play out for a client, which was really good. But what she does is she goes back to mythology and shows all of the points in history where women were not allowed to speak, and how the world would be a different place if they were allowed to share their message.
We're very happy to have you, because you're sharing the message of the real 50 over 50. So thank you so much for giving us your insights. I'm so looking forward to our conversation in February of 2025.
No,
what will be then? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What are you taking away from this fantastic conversation? The real 50 over 50. Take it from the Ironwoman. We have episodes every Monday with exciting people, with people who have a lot of stories to tell and who are the real deal. Come every Monday, we have more episodes. And Take It from the Ironwoman is also the book, Global Business Coaching with Sports Parallels. Like us and write a review on your preferred platform where you listen to podcasts. Bye-bye and see you next time.